I'm imperfectly perfect today. Here we go. So in their research, these are examples of why it takes on this is in their research and they researched a bunch of different size and types of organizations that they say on average it takes 1 to 7 years once you embark upon this. And the type of activities that you might do in the first year is getting everybody on board for a shared vocabulary. What are we really doing? Finding it, identifying those goals so that you can have measurable results towards them. Gathering the kind of baseline data that you need, not just about everybody out there, but your own culture, your own community, your own personal staff, and also what others think about you. So a lot of us are focused on what's out there as opposed to our own organizations. Identifying your own individual and organizational biases. How are you dealing and training and creating emotional, cultural intelligence in your organization? Finding a critical mass and creating a critical mass in your organization to move this work forward. Finding those champions, naming strategic imperatives, and looking and assessing your value and your culture. So it's a lot of gathering and getting people on board activities in the first year. Again, depending on where you are as an organization or a team. Then the second year, this learning agenda, then you actually start increasing capacity and doing trainings and looking at the data and creating strategies you can track to move certain workflows more equitable. Maybe you do equity audit, actual audits like this that can result in those kind of workflow changes and actual tangible outcomes for people in your organization. You implement action plans basically in the different levels. A solidarity statement is something a lot of people don't do, but that is really where we're headed. Is we're not going to get where we need to go until we come together more. So solidarity is a really big word and energy for me in this work. And then you move more. See, so year one is that unaware to awareness, critical mass, a lot of awareness. You're doing some action. Years 1 to 3, you're doing a lot of actions and tracking them and trying to integrate a lot of things into your actual programs. And then the years 3 to 7, you're monitoring those and you're evaluating those and keeping your pulse on them. And you're able then to do more investment out in the community because you've done the work inside. And a lot of us spend too much time, in my opinion, trying to get other people to come to us without balancing that with the work we need to do personally and individually. But this is an idea of they call this a learning agenda, helping people see that it's a longer journey, but it's a tangible journey, and how you can create a critical mass. You don't need everybody to make progress. And then I threw this in because this is really key. A lot of organizations I work with are aging out, and they don't really know how to do this work with the different generations. I'm not going to go into this. It'll be given to you, but it's kind of interesting to be curious about. Some of you in education are already working with younger generations, but what it is they bring. How do you bring a multi-generational group of people to the table and actually leverage the skill that they bring and specifically to this type of work? So of course, some organizations get focused on collecting data. I know that's guilty of the volunteer monitoring community. Sometimes we just focus on collecting data, but data is never the end. We're never over. We're never done with this work. We just keep spiraling up. And it's always a combination of personal, community, collective, and organizational work. And back in our first session, we talked about equality, how we have this vertical hierarchical structure that we are dismantling and creating more of a horizontal, equal structure. But one of the things we have to do is go vertical with our hearts to be more expansive and more inclusive and bring that open-heartedness back down to a horizontal new way of being. The latter refers mostly to the idea of power being vertical versus being shared amongst more individuals. So for your reflection, you can reflect on anything you'd like, but here are some prompts. I'll give you about 10 minutes to think about it, or write or journal. As the journey always starts with you, how are you tracking and telling what your inclusive story is, what your journey is, what you've been learning. I encourage everybody to write an equity statement. That could be one of the many classes that we do. And bring that equity statement to your life. Where are you with learning about your own biases? So this is the first question's about where are you? And what's your commitment to becoming more whole and more of you? The second question is, where are you engaging in the whole out there in holism? This is all a journey towards holism. How can you use your privilege? We all have some privilege. How are you using that? And how do you want to use that to make yourself whole and your community and your world whole? What do you need? What kind of support you need? Who can support you? Julie modeled that earlier today when she shared, Jules did. And who can support you? So I'll put the timer on and reflect for yourself. We'll give it 7 minutes, so we give Tamara her full brainstorm.